Hello and welcome to another episode of Just for the Crack. Doing this just for the crack. And slightly different episode for this one. I'm flying solo. And by flying solo, I mean doing this on my own. I don't mean, you know, doing masturbation or something like that, in case you think that's what I mean by flying solo. You know what I mean? Guy tries to give a girl a shout, don't want to come over, and fuck it. Looks like he's flying solo. So yeah, could be easily interpreted that way, but I just want to make it perfectly clear. None of that shenanigans is going on right now. It might have been before this, and it might again after, but not right now. So yes, doing this by my lonesome. Um, yeah, just trying to change it up a wee bit, do something a wee bit different. Um, it's taken me long enough to do it, and getting a wee bit of consistency with the podcast has been difficult. It's been a wee bit trickier than I thought it would be. Um, but yeah, I just thought I'd do this on my own and see what it was like because I'm a big podcast fan anyway. That's what made me kind of want to do something like this. So I love listening to podcasts where it's just solo. Obviously, it's great having guests and things like that, people you can bounce off. It's interesting. But I love listening to guys like Joey Diaz is doing a great podcast recently. He's doing Uncle Joey's joint, and he's pretty much been doing it by himself, and it's good. He just sits there in front of the camera and talks the shit that he talks. I'm a big fan of Theo Vaughn. I think he's one of the funniest comedians about. In his podcast, he does a lot of episodes by himself, and I think it's good. So when you see guys just sit down and they're not trying to impress, they're not trying to show off. They just kind of sit, and it's very. I think it's a wee bit more authentic. I think it's a wee bit more natural. The guys seem a lot more comfortable when they're just sitting on their own, talking. So yeah, I thought then I'd kind of have a go at doing that. So yeah, it has taken what, five, six episodes 6 episodes to kind of do something like this. Also kind of took 6 episodes to get into what the podcast is kind of about a bit. Touched on it a bit in the first episode, but yeah, just for the crack. Doing this just for the crack. This is supposed to be, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to be. Kind of funny, but like, it's just trying to capture reality. You know what I mean? So that's why, like I've done every episode with my good mate Craic so far, because me and him always have a good laugh together and some funny old stories between us. But yeah, it's just trying to. The idea was, what was the idea? Fuck, I have no idea. Yeah, I remember a mate of mine just saying a good few years ago. There's something about when people get together naturally, and that like natural humor that just comes off. Nothing's scripted. It's not like a fucking stand up, or it's not like a comedy show. No one's trying to impress anybody. But when you get people together and they're just bouncing off each other and they're having a couple of drinks or whatever and they're just talking shit. See, to me, that is some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard in my life. Way funnier than any comedy movie, way funnier than any TV program, way funnier than any stand up. The natural, real shit that just normal people come off with. I just think it's fucking hilarious. And that's just what I wanted to capture. I wanted to try and get just real, normal people on, have normal chats, and just try and capture some of the funny moments that just get said when you're just sitting having a couple of drinks and shooting the shit. And yeah, that's just what I want to try and capture. So hopefully try and do a wee bit more of that. And hopefully we'll have achieved that to some degree so far. Not gonna lie, this is incredibly weird talking into a computer screen. Trying to do all this, it's very, very weird without having someone to bounce off with when you're talking face to face. So yeah, like, I just wanted to do the podcast to have you capture those funny moments, but like I said, make it real. Not everything has to be funny, not everything has to be, because then you try and be funny. There's nothing less funnier than someone who's trying to be funny, because usually they ain't. they're usually not that funny at all. And it just comes off as shite because it's just not authentic. Whereas you're just having a yarn and someone says something, someone runs with it. That's natural. That's funny. That's proper humor. Um, but yeah, also just real moments. A lot of people are locked down. A lot of people are going through shit. So see, just trying to, I don't know, vent, rant, all the above. Get shit off my chest, or if I've mates on, let them get shit off their chest. Because it's tough, and that's actually one of the reasons I want to do this as well. Is I thought that it would be a good uh excuse to kind of one to connect with people, which actually I found out is a wee bit harder than I thought. Trying to get everybody to do this, but yeah, I've got I've got essentially fuck all else to do. So yeah, why not have a stab at it? Do you know what I mean? Every dickhead under the sun now seems to have a podcast. So yeah, why not me? Why not go for it? So yeah, that's really what it is. Try and get some other interesting guests, so not just mates, but like if I know people or friends who know people, who are, I don't know, fucking interesting in some way, shape, or form. Um, Maybe just get some like normal maybe not quite every day, but normal people who do maybe something interesting. Like maybe they've got a weird job or a fucking weird hobby or something like that. Somebody who's like in the, I don't know, what do you call it? When you fiddle with dead animals, uh, taxidermy. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's fucking weird, but it's also kind of interesting. So anybody who knows someone who does that shit, I want to talk to someone who does that and see what the fuck is going on in their head that they think that's an appropriate hobby to have. Because, well, it ain't really. So, yeah, try and get people like that on. A few mates who are in bands and things like that. So maybe try and get some of them on that get stories from the road. What's it like being on a rock band tour around the world? I have no fucking idea. So let's talk to somebody who does. And that's the general gist of it. Trying to capture some of that shit. Try and capture those real, honest conversations and chats. That's it. It's a pretty straightforward premise. Ain't going to be too many like fucking Joe Rogan guests here. Like, don't be expecting too many fucking authors or fucking scientists or politicians or anything like that. Expect people, who might be, have a couple of things wrong with them. Nothing to brag about, but like, I'm sure you've listened to me and Craic talk and you've thought, I don't think these guys are all there. I don't think they've got it all. And we probably don't, but who the fuck does? Don't make you a bad person if you're only playing with a full deck, as long as you got the cards that matter. I don't even know what the fuck that means. So, same as ever, we're just winging it. We're going for it, and yeah, who the fuck knows what's going to happen? Uncertain times. So, yeah, all you can do is just try and, I don't know, make the best of it, and that's what we're trying to do with this. See if we can spread some joy is probably not the best term, but yeah, if you can make people laugh and entertain them and, you know, get some things off your chest, I think that's just what's needed right now is people don't think people rant enough. I think people need to fucking get things properly off their chest. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing worse than something's getting right in your fucking tits and you keep it all bottled up. That's not fucking good for anybody. You think you've got to have a rant. You've got to have, what was it, shit, what's his name? From Idiot Abroad. Uh, Carl Pilkington. Was his idea of superhero, was it like Bullshit Man? Where he just flies around and just calls bullshit on people? I think you gotta do things like that. I think you gotta be calling out people on their bullshit. I think you've got to just not take any shit and, you gotta rant, you gotta get it off your chest. And everybody feels better after a good rant. I know I do, which is probably why I rant a lot. Um, but yeah, like, who the fuck knows? Crazy times. You know, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing on this. It is very weird, talking on the computer. But I'm having to do this because you can't meet face to face with people. it's not the same. You know, when me and Craig have done it on the computer, on the phone, it's just not the same as sitting down and having a normal conversation. And that's what they want you to do. Nowadays, it's like, I hear you're not allowed to fucking see people. You know, have fucking Zoom chats. Fuck off, that's not the same. You know, you can't replace sitting down with your friends and having a laugh and having a bit of crack and just generally having a bit of banter. You know, that's irreplaceable. So then you end up with dickheads like me fucking trying to have a fucking podcast with fucking somebody else on a laptop, or even worse, dickheads like me who are trying to have a fucking conversation with just themselves. You know, that's mentalist talk if you ask me. Do you know what I mean? Someone walks in and I'm fucking talking into a computer. They will think that I have fucking just gone off my rocker and I am officially fucking crazy. Um, which could well be anyway, but doesn't make you a bad person or bad people, depending on what sort of crazy you are. You know, you could be one of those split personality guys where there's like fucking six of you all living in the one fucking body. And that would be fucking crazy, literally. Because, you're all fighting for attention to see who gets to speak. You know, there's one personality, a bit of an authority figure. You know, who the fuck knows? It'd be interesting though if you're like fucking schizophrenic or something like that. You know, keeps it interesting. You never know what you're going to get. You know, Forrest Gump style. So, yeah. What else have we got? So, another idea that we kind of have for the podcast is to do some like kind of storytelling. Um, Not like some fucking primary school. We ain't gonna fucking discuss. You know, I'm not talking about storytelling like fucking Hansel and Gretel or something like that. Took me a while to think of a story whenever I said storytelling. But obviously, it's come up a couple of times in the podcast that me and Craig had a very infamous trip down in Dublin on our way to see Slayer, which I will get into with Craig on our podcast to two us, and we'll do like a Dublin special, and we'll go into all the shenanigans. But I have been. I'm not the most well-travelled man in the world, but I'm reasonably travelled, and for whatever reason, nothing ever seems to go right. There always seems to be fucking props. Something happens, whether it's out of my control or not. Sometimes, yes, I've been a wee bit of you know, a dumb fuck, for lack of a better term, and have got myself into some interesting pickles. But trying to just get those real stories from trips, like I got some Facebook memory shit coming up on Facebook. Funny enough, uh, was it this week or last week? And it was like this time, fuck, I don't know what, 4 years ago, that I was in Las Vegas to see the Front and Santa Cruz fight, and fuck, that was crazy. That has to be like the craziest week of my life. And I think it was like 6 days that I was in fucking Vegas. Easily knocked about 10 years off my life expectancy. I'd never done so much on so little sleep and so little food in all my life. That was just one beer fueled, vodka fueled, whiskey fueled, fucking Four Loco fueled. That shit's fucking crazy. Week. It was just fucking. It was crazy, but it was good crack, and I got a lot of stories from it. How many people decide to book to go to Las Vegas by themselves for a boxing fight? Really, not too many people. You'd have to have a couple of fucking screws loose to do it, and I'm that guy with those fucking couple of screws loose. I got talking to some boys in the airport when we were flying out over for the fights. They were staying in the same hotel, and they're like, "Here, knock about with us." I'm like, "That's great. What's the worst could happen?" Turns out it could get led astray very, very easily, and it led to a series of very interesting events. But yeah, things go wrong, from like I've fucked up hotel bookings. I've missed multiple flights. Um, through no control of my own. Like, it's always kind of been something's happened, something's coming up, and I am just known by all my friends as just a disaster of a traveller, which I do feel is a wee bit harsh because I do a wee bit of travelling. Um, but yeah, things just happen. So maybe share some stories like that. Um, crazy things have happened, from like going over for football trips, for fights, for, you know, for gigs, especially because once you start having a fucking few beers and you get talking to people, you've no idea where the fuck you end up. Always gets interesting. There's always something to talk about. You know, I've me and Craig have already touched on a couple uh on other podcast episodes, but I think to really like kind of dive into it and do like specific podcasts just for crazy fucked up stories, essentially, where mad things have happened. And funny things, no one I'm about to say no one's got hurt. I can't say that with 100% certainty that no one's got hurt. I've never hurt anybody, but there's been some seriously fucked up situations, and fuck knows how it's all planned out. Fuck knows how I'm still here doing a fucking podcast. But there you go. You know, it's crazy times. So yeah. So let me see what we've got here. So I haven't really planned doing this by myself. I want to do this on the fly and see what will happen, see what will come out. Maybe it'd be shit, maybe it wouldn't. Who knows? But yeah, I guess it'll be good to I don't know, just get some thoughts out there. You know, this is kind of like an inner monologue of all the fucking mad crazy thoughts that go around my head. I can get them out in this. Um, which it doesn't really seem to be too many coming to me at the moment. I think it's kind of like, I'm trying to force it. It's like someone kind of like make you pee or watch you pee, no matter how bad you want to do it. It just doesn't want to come out. And you're like, do it, just pee. But like, no, for somebody watching you, it just doesn't happen. This is a bit like this. I'm supposed to come off with something funny. I'm supposed to come off with something interesting. And no mad crazy thoughts ahead. Um, I don't even really have much to talk about in general. Told you this wasn't well planned at all. But like, look, I don't even know what the fuck's going on in the news. I try to avoid that because that shit just fucking depresses the life clean out of you. So it does. You lose your fucking mind if you spend your days fucking listening to the news and listening to what some fucking dickhead in a suit has to say with a fucking posh accent on the telly. Those guys can go fuck themselves. Full of shite, so they are. Do you know what I mean? We're all fucking locked down. No one can fucking go anywhere. No one can do anything. People are out of work. People are fucking losing their baps. People's heads are well and truly fucking melted. And they start hitting you up with all this Brexit shit. And it's like, hold on a wee fucking minute. One fucking dilemma at a time. You think I give a flying fuck about Brexit? I'm out of 2 fucking jobs at the minute. Alright? I ain't doing anything close to normal work that I normally would be doing. Alright? I'm losing my fucking mind because I'm not as busy. I'm not making the same amount of fucking money, which is making me lose my mind. And then they want to hit me up with a fucking border in the middle of the Irish Sea. Hold on a wee minute, we haven't even got past all this corona shit. Let me fucking stress out about that. See, once we get that dealt with, now you can fucking let me stress about all this Brexit bollocks. See, I can't even fucking swear properly. So I pissed off from getting about it. So yeah, they try and hit you up. Oh, here, fucking Brexit. And then that all fucking stopped. And it's, oh, corona. And that's all you fucking got. And now we're back to fucking Brexit. Fuck me, pink. Is there anything fucking decent happening in the world? No, because that's what they don't want you to do. They just want you to fucking think, oh, here it's all fucking doom and gloom. Here, you know, you are fucking still fucking locked down. You can't fucking scratch your arse without the fucking Gestapo in your case. They make sure you're doing it from fucking 2 meters apart. We're getting told, oh, here, there's fucking, tariffs and fucking goods coming in and they're not coming out. And like, what the fuck is going on? Whole fucking country and the whole fucking world is going to a fucking shit show. Do you know what I mean? Like here in fucking Britain, they talk about, fucking United Ireland poll. Fuck that. Will never fucking happen. It won't go well in the slightest. I don't care what your views are. It just wouldn't go fucking, it just wouldn't work. It just fucking wouldn't. You've got all that shit. Now you've got all this Brexit bollocks, and they're fucking talking about fucking vaccines in, and do you know what I mean? I'll get to the stage, you can't fucking, you can't even go out. You can't go fucking anywhere unless you're wearing a mask. Wait do you see how fucking strict it'll be with these fucking vaccines? You'll not be able to fucking knock one out unless you've had a fucking vaccine. It'll be fucking ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Won't stop me doing it though. Vaccine or not, I'll still be knocking one out. Because that's the real shit that matters. You got to get down to the nitty gritty. Um, there's a bit of a pun in there, I think. But yeah, they're fucking hitting you up with that, and then they're fucking hitting you up with all this Brexit shit, and it's like, fuck me. If it's not one fucking disaster, it's another. And then fucking in America, they've elected a pedo in to fucking run the country. It's like, aye, Trump, he's a fucking dick. Get him out. Who are we going to get in to replace him? This is a man who fucking sniffs fucking women's hair and fucking touches kids. Aye, let's get him in. He'll do a fucking better job than some fucking businessman Arsenal hole whose fucking ego's the size of fucking one of his hotels. I was like, do people have a fucking... People need to fucking take a wee step back and have a wee fucking look and see what the fuck's going on around them. Because it's fucking frightening. It's frightening what's being allowed to go on at the minute. And people just aren't fucking... I don't know. People need to fucking tighten up. This shit's getting wild out of hand. You know, I don't think fucking anybody's happy with it. I don't know a single fucker in the world who's happy at the moment. I don't know anybody who's looking around them going, oh, happy days, mate. Lockdown again. Fucking magic. You know, unless you're fucking raking it in on the fucking furlough and you're able to do a wee bit of work on the side, in that case you're fucking minted, you jammy bastard. You know, but then you have dickheads like me who've resorted to fucking doing podcasts with their mate while having a few beers. That could actually be the other issue. This will be the first podcast that I've done without a single beer. Don't know how I feel about that. I can hear it, I know it has some in the fridge. I can hear it call my name. It's like, Ryan, get fucking lit, son. Get fucking lit. Now I wouldn't be getting lit tonight, but you know, a couple of beers wouldn't fucking do any harm, so we might resort to that in a wee bit more afterwards. Who the fuck knows? Yo, it's Wednesday, it's a school night, you got no fucking work to do in the morning. Why not? Let's just do fucking acid then instead if you've got fucking nowhere else to be, do you know what I mean? And for a penny and for a pound. So, it's all a load of shit. At least if you're doing a wee bit of fucking acid, you'd be off in a fucking different world. You wouldn't give a fuck about the shit that's going on now. And see, and just like that, ranting away, natural, unplanned, unscripted. And that's what I want this shit to be around. Granted, it's much better if you actually have someone to talk to, you know, because then you get to pretend like you actually have a friend, as opposed to now I just gotta sit here like fucking Norman No Mates and talking to a computer screen. Sorry, just a quick drink of water. All that ranting works up a thirst. So, yeah, you seem to have every fucking dipper on the planet at the minute doing podcasts and shit, and you know, especially when you see people, you know, like you got guys like Brendan Shaw out there, and God love him. All I ever hear is good things about him. The guy seems to be really nice. He seems to work his fucking ass off. Anybody hear anything about him, he says he's one of the hardest working people you'll ever meet. I don't know, maybe it's getting hit in the head all that many times, but there's no way the fucking boy's playing with a full deck of cards. He's just, I don't know, he's just fucking daft as a brush, and that boy's supposed to be a fucking comedian. Yeah, he comes off with funny things time from time, but like, fuck, he's supposed to be a stand-up comedian. Fuck, I wonder, would you? Um, that's maybe a wee bit harsh, but it's not. And if he can do, not only, how many podcasts does that fucker do? He must have about 64 podcasts on the fucking go. That's fucking ridiculous. So where I looked at it, if that dipper, who's been fucking hitting the head, fuck knows how many times, he can barely fucking count to 6. If he can do multiple podcasts, then fuck, why can't I do it? Yeah, he doesn't seem like a guy who has a lot of friends. I'm the fucking guy talking on the computer screen, so it fucking shows where my mates are at the minute. It does seem a wee bit of a weird thing to ask. It's still kind of, you know, I know this isn't exactly the fucking Joe Rogan experience or anything like that, but you do feel a wee bit weird being like, oh, I do a podcast. It does sound a wee bit fucking lardy-dar, you know. you feel weird saying to mates and things. It's like, hey, do you want to do my podcast? It's like, fuck off. It sounds very, I don't know whether pretentious is the right word, but you do feel a wee bit awkward. Like, you know, I guarantee, I say to a lot of my mates, it's like, hey, you fancy coming on and doing my podcast? And we're like, oh, fuck yeah, check you out, Joe Rogan. You know, want to talk about fucking elk and fucking bow hunting and shit like that. You know, talk about DMT. And they'll just take the piss. Because that's the sort of horrible fucks they are. Um, but again, that's why I want to get them on, because I think it'd be pretty funny. It'd be a good crack. So, yeah, it does seem a wee bit weird, and it does seem, I don't know, podcasts seem to be very hit and miss. I don't know too many people who listen to one. I've got a couple of like people like me and a few others who fucking listen to multiple podcasts pretty much every day, and then there's other people who fucking never listen to one in their puff and have no idea what the fucking all the shit's about. Pardon me. So yeah, I do feel a wee bit weird having to say that, you know, people you've known for years, and you know, just it's no longer just a chat. It's like, oh, do you want to do my podcast? Kind of seems like a bigger deal than what it is, but really all it is like a fly on the wall. You know, anybody who's listening to these conversations, that's what I want it to be. I just want it to be like people are fucking eavesdropping in their conversation. You know, all the conversations I want to be not like it's recorded. I don't want anybody to feel like they're being like, I'm not a fucking interviewer or anything like that. I'm certainly not interviewing my mates. I'm not that fucking sort of a bellend. Um, but yeah, I just want it to be like a recorded conversation. If me and a couple of mates were to sit down, have a yarn, this is what it would be. And that's what I want. It's just as real, as raw, and as honest as possible. Yes, people might have to be careful with their wording a wee bit. Not that anybody's, you know, nasty or racist or anything like that, but you know, sometimes you say what you might say in front of one friend as a bit of a joke or in jest, when you start sticking out across the internet, all of a sudden doesn't go down too well. Um, but yeah, that's the whole idea, is just try and get uh yeah, just real conversations. And I think that's the funniest thing, is nothing's scripted, nothing's planned, and that is where you're going to get real comedy gold in my eyes, is because it's just pure spur of the moment, people blurting shit out, and it's natural. So yeah, I'm going to be more on the ball, and get some podcasts up in some shape or form, whether they're done. I think they probably sound better. Uh, Done like kind of proper on the computer. I have done them on the phone, because you're on the phone. It sounds like you're on the phone. Shite quality. You know, it doesn't really sound like how it should. Um, but it's also an easy and handy way to get the hold of people. Do you know what I mean? You can just phone someone up and you're on a way to them, and there you go. All of a sudden, you know, as long as you talk about something reasonably interesting and nothing too personal as well. No one wants their fucking dirty laundry aired. But as long as you fucking can talk about something reasonably interesting and have a bit of a fucking laugh while you're doing it, then that's you. You're on to a winner after that. So it's just trying to get that all sorted, get it organized, and yeah, I think there'll be big things to come. Believe me. Um, and I really do want to get not just mates on. Obviously, getting mates on is it's obviously they're easy to get on. Okay, maybe this isn't a good example because I'm having to sit here by myself. But you know, I want to talk to like interesting people. So you know, again, like thinking of examples. You know, like I said about, you know, like getting a taxidermist, someone who does, you know, taxidermy things. You know, it's like, yo, so you see a dead squirrel there. What makes you think I'm fucking bringing that home, stuffing it to the fucking gills? I know fucking squirrels don't have gills. You know, I'm not that fucking stupid. Stuffing it and like, I don't know, sticking it on the fucking mantelpiece or something like that. You know, I just want to know. And here, and not to be cheeky or disrespectful, just a real curiosity. I know it didn't word that the most polite, but it just makes, you know, what makes people do this, you know, again, I love listening to Theo Vaughan's podcast. I think that guy's one of the funniest fuckers on the planet at the minute. But as much as he gets like a lot of famous people, celebrities, obviously he's a comedian, so he gets other comedians on. He's got, UFC fighters on. He's got a lot of high profile guys on. But he's also got like real world people. Like I remember like he done an episode where he got a plumber on. He's like, I've never met a plumber. I've never sat down and talked to a plumber before. Like, I just want to sit down and ask you questions about plumbing. And he doesn't like, he's not disrespectful, the guy. He doesn't take the piss out of him, but it's like, what's the weirdest thing that you found clogging a toilet? Or, has anybody ever like tried to, fuck you while you're trying to do the job? Has anybody ever tried to pay you with sex or something like that? And, it's funny because he's just talking to a normal everyday guy and just like asking him these fucking insane questions. Um, Another kind of episode that he done like that was he got on, and I think the episode is just called This Past Weekend, whatever the number of the episode is, a sex worker, where he just hires a sex worker to talk to and be like, so what's it like being what's the correct term? I don't think a hooker is the correct term, an escort probably, or maybe just a sex worker. Um, but yeah, he just gets someone like that on. It's like, look, we want to do an hour podcast, so I'll pay you your hourly rate to sit and do a podcast for me. So I don't know, especially with the power of social media and things like that nowadays, you can just fucking get in contact with any fucker and be like, here, you fancy having a yarn and doing my podcast? And they'll either tell you the fuck right off, sideways, or they'll be like, fuck it, why not? I'm up for a bit of a yarn. And who knows? So yeah, maybe doing something like that, you can hit people up from any industry and, see what the crack is and see what's out there. So who knows? And if anybody has any suggestions, not that this is the biggest audience at the moment, but if anybody has any suggestions about, who to get on or who we could talk to or something like that, anybody got any suggestions, please feel free to let me know. I'm up for having a yarn and a bit of crack with anybody. So I'm gonna start to wrap this up soon because we've yarned on for like just over half an hour here, and that's enough of me just talking shit by myself. Um, I'll try not to do too many by myself because it's just not as fun unless there is something, if I feel like in a particularly kind of like ranty moment or something like that, or if there's something on my mind, or I've got, I don't know, just basically something worth talking about, then I'll probably jump on and record something myself. Um, or even just, mentally, if there's something I'm feeling, if I'm feeling a bit fucking down, it's like, maybe get something off my chest. And like I know I've done that listening to podcasts, is someone talking about something in their life, you can maybe relate to it a wee bit, and it's almost like you're getting it off, when they get it off their chest, it's almost like you're getting it off yours. Do you know what I mean? So like them kind of talking about their issue, it's like, fuck, that sounds exactly like mine. And you start to feel better for it, and they start to talk about maybe how they're dealing with it, and they're like, fuck yeah, mate, that's exactly right, that's exactly how I feel, yeah, that's what I need to do. So maybe even something like that. I don't know, this isn't going to turn into a fucking Dr. Phil podcast, so like don't be expecting the greatest fucking advice to come out of here. I would actually do the exact opposite. I would, any advice or tips that you hear on this podcast, I would do the exact fucking opposite. I would not take any advice from any of the dipshits that I will have on, and I'm probably a dipshit myself, so I wouldn't listen too much what I have to say. So yeah, after over half an hour of me fucking yarning on by myself, I think we'll start to wrap this up. Um, Thank you very much for listening. I hope you've checked out the other episodes. If this is the first time that you have listened to me, and it's just me just fucking waffling away here on my lonesome, this isn't normally what it's like. Again, another thing you have to bear in mind is like, this is what, episode 6, so 5, 6, who the fuck knows. Um, so I'm really like, I'm brand new to this. Like, even the reason there hasn't been something up for a while is that I had some software issues. I had issues uploading things and recording, and it's been a wee bit of a shit show. So the more that we do it, we're going to stick at it no matter what, because it's not fucking costing me anything to do. other than a wee bit of time. So the more that we do it, the more that we stick at it, the more it will grow, the more the audience grows, the more you can get more interesting people on, you know, and that's it and that's that, that's what you do. The more people that support it, the more interesting people I can get on and talk shit with. And yeah, so there'll be bigger and better things to come in 2021. Uh, in a lot of aspects of life, I have no fucking idea. But I can promise for the podcast that there will be bigger and better things to come in 2021. And there will be weekly updates, mainly weekly, probably. Um, that's the idea anyway. So, yeah, thank you very much for listening, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.